I'm Steve Teague of Teague Enterprises, and you're looking at the U.S. model of the smoking system. The components of this system are the hood on top, with the TE10 smoking machine inside, and 2 rat chambers. So the parts of the smoking machine are the chimney, where the smoke is collected, mixing and dilution chamber, and the magazine load for loading cigarettes in there. You can put up to 2 packs of cigarettes in here, and the loading mechanism. This is the 10B unit with the Bluetooth. The B refers to the Bluetooth controller. I'd like to go over the individual parts of this machine. Here is the power supply. It can be either 110 or 220. Next to the power switch is the air supply. There is a compressor in the back of the unit that delivers air to this hose. The black knob is the regulator. It regulates the air coming from the compressor, and it may be monitored using the gauge on top of the TE10 unit. To change the pressure, pull the black knob out and then rotate the dial to the desired pressure. The gauge should read 20 psi for proper operation of the solenoids. This monitors the flow of the blower, so this is the negative pressure of the entire system. Next we have the Bluetooth controller. It is used to operate the machine. Operation is controlled from a computer, and we will go over that procedure later. Next to the controller module, we have an ashtray. This should be filled partially with water in order to extinguish the cigarette butts as they are ejected from the wheel. Above the ashtray is a chamber that collects the smoke to the chimney. The smoke is then evacuated out the top of the chimney and is set to the mixing and dilution chamber, and then to the exposure chambers. There's also the compressor drain valve. Whenever you end the exposure for the day, just open that up a little bit to allow the water to come out. This is a controller module for the TE10B, and here is a detailed look at that unit. The Bluetooth module pairs with a computer and allows the user to run or change parameters in the smoking machine program. There are several lights on the module that illuminate as operation occurs. They are the power, program run, pause, lighter, puff, eject, cigarette load, load in, and load out. There are also several buttons used on the Bluetooth module. They are the puff, lighter, pause, eject all, and load out. We'll now look at these various lights and the associated operations. The power light will turn on as soon as the power is turned on to the unit. The pause light turns on whenever the machine is turned on and the wheel goes to the 0 position. The program run turns on whenever you push the pause button after the machine turns on first, and when the pause button and the program run are on at the same time, that means you can change the program. The lighter wire light will turn on when the lighter is being activated. It's in the same circuit as the lighter wire itself. Then there's a series of little lights that depict when the solenoids turn on. When those turn on, then you'll see the light turn on. It's just an indication of when the power is going to the solenoids. There are also 5 buttons on the module. Those are the puff, lighter, pause, eject all, and load out. The puff, lighter, and load out buttons are pushed once to begin the operation, and then pushed again to stop the operation. For example, when the puff button is pushed once, the puff pump starts. Pushing the puff pump a second time will shut the puff pump off. The lighter button operates in the same fashion as the puff button. The pause button only has to be pushed once. When this button is depressed, the machine will stop. To continue the run, push the button again. The eject all button will eject cigarettes and stop the machine. To start up the machine again, just recycle. So you turn off the machine and then turn on again to start up again. Pushing the load out button will open the load tray. This allows for the adjustment of the magazine load. Pushing it a second time will close the load tray. It's the holder for the cigarettes, the cigarette wheel. Okay, this is the picture of the nichrome lighter filament. This is the back part of the lighter wire. The lighter wire goes down through here and into the electronics part down here. So this is what feeds into the lighter operation. As the machine starts up, the wheel starts turning around, and in order to know where it starts out, there's a little switch down here that's a reed switch that detects a magnetic sensor. The magnet is in the wheel right here, and as the wheel turns around, it trips the switch, which then sends a signal back into the electronics to know where the zero position of the switch is. This is the magazine load cylinder. This is the eject cylinder. This is the motor that operates the cigarette wheel. This is the puff port on the 12 o'clock position. Puff port then goes down into the puff pump. The puff pump is right here, takes a puff, and then the smoke goes back into and adds with the side stream smoke, so the mixed smoke then comes out through here and into the mixing and dilution chamber. This is the hood unit right here, which the blower actually pulls air in through the front here in order to catch any errant smoke that may come out in the front here. And then the smoke itself starts out in the collection chamber here, goes into the chimney part, and then through the back, mixed with the mainstream smoke, and into the dilution chamber. The dilution chamber has a fan to mix the air very well, and then in the back of this chamber, the smoke goes over to the exposure chambers. This is the back of the hood here. The hood exhaust are through these four ports right here, goes into the blower, and the mixing and dilution chamber sits here underneath the smoking machine. The smoke then comes from the bottom of the mixing and dilution chamber over into the entrance to the two chambers. This is how the flow is set up for all the chambers. They're the same. So the smoke comes in over here, goes through an orifice meter right here, and the orifice meter is monitored by this magnehelic gauge. So as the flow goes through here, the pressure drops across the orifice meter according to the flow rate. So at any rate, the flow rate then is measured in 0 to 1 inches of water gauge. This goes into the left, goes into the chamber through some tubes inside the chamber, and then goes across the chamber and then is exhausted out through two more tubes that are on the inside of the chamber, and it is controlled by the ball valve here, and then goes back into the blower again for the negative pressure. Then the blower exhaust, total exhaust, comes out and is vented through your system. The other parts in here are the air compressor that operates the smoking machine. It has soundproof insulation in here to reduce somewhat the noise that is generated by the compressor and the blower system. I'm going to turn the machine on now with the power switch. The light goes on, machine stops, the light turns on. Push the pause switch, you keep pushing it until the program run turns on. Okay, now it's ready in the configuration that you can discover the Bluetooth and change the program in the controller. So in order to pair the Bluetooth device now with the computer, go ahead and clip it on, and in this case we want to add the device. So it's going to come up with a device. There it is right there. So we click on that one. And we want to enter the device's pairing code. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Okay, then go ahead, next. Okay, now that it's paired, you can close this and go back and just open Bluetooth device. Show Bluetooth devices. Okay, it should come up. Okay, so we want to click on this device and then right click to show the properties. In the properties, we look over in the hardware. We discover it says it's over COM5, so we'll have to remember that it's COM5. All right, so now we will open the PUTTY, which is the Pittsburgh teletype. It's just a simple program you can download from the internet. We'll give you that information. So go ahead and open that up. Run it. Okay, instead of COM3, I'm going to make this COM5. Okay, go ahead and open it. All right, so hit return and you'll get the program to be able to change things. So we can push number 1. It tells you that there's 10 cigarettes in there. In order to decrease the amount, push negative. So maybe you want to go down to 5 or 4. When you get to the number, then you just enter. Value accepted. Okay, number 2 is the home position offset. So this shouldn't have to be changed after you initially change it, but that is changed by putting the number up and down so that the wheel corresponds to the cigarette being loaded into the machine. Okay. The next one is the lighter circuit. So the lighter circuit is 11. You can change this the same way using plus. So to use plus, you have to use the shift and then the plus key. So you use shift and then plus, change it to 12. And when you want to change it to 12, then you push enter. And then the the number 4 corresponds to automatic duration. It's set to 18 minutes now. So it works the same way. The plus and the minus changes the number of minutes. And then number 5 is minutes off. Oops. So it's at 0 now, so that means the machine will never turn off. It just goes automatically on again. So if you want to change it to something to make it stop, you have to put some number in here to stop it. Okay, so that if you're satisfied with what it is now, you can go ahead and save these settings. In order to save the settings, you go number 6. Okay, now it's saved. Then you go exit menu, and it'll start the program. Number 8. Okay, now it's going to load things in and light it up just like before. Okay, in order to do the loadout adjustment, the first thing we do is pause. When you push that, the pause light will come on. Once the machine is paused, you can push the loadout button. This will activate the solenoid and push the load tray out. The load tray can be adjusted by turning this screw here, and it must align exactly with the back of the magazine load so the cigarettes will fall in there. Alright, this is how to remove the hood for replacement of the lighter, cleaning of the wire, cleaning of the wheel, and the washer behind it. So there's two screws that need to be undone, one here, and then two screws on the other side. I removed those already, so go ahead and pull off the exit pipe, and the whole thing should just come out of here then. Okay. All right, this is the lighter wire. The lighter wire is comes formed from the fact, I mean, you can order it from me. The main thing is not to change the length of the lighter wire, because this is carefully calibrated for the in order to have enough, in order for the thing to operate correctly. If you shorten it up, there's too much amperage will go through it, and you can actually damage the electronics. At this point, we can also take off the wheel. The wheel is taken off by a little thing here with an Allen screw. You can come off. At this point, you can also see where the magnet is for the zero stop. This should be taken off weekly and cleaned in the back here with all cleaned the holes. You'll also notice there's a little floating washer here that this must be able to operate freely so that it keeps pressure on the wheel as it rotates around. This also is taken off, and the little Q-tip with methanol is taken and cleaned, and also in here pushed it through and cleaned the tar out from all of the piping. When the wheel is placed back on again, it'd be placed back on, and put it in any position. You push it all the way on and then pull it off, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, and tighten it up. Don't tighten it too tight so you don't damage the shaft here. And the main thing, you should be able to rotate freely with your hand. This is how to replace the wheel gaskets. After a while they will get worn, and how to tell whether they're worn or not is you put a cigarette in there, and the cigarette is not being held by the wheel gasket, as this one is not. And you can try it one here. Now this one is being held very well by the wheel gasket, and you can see it will seal on there. So when you get one like this, it doesn't work anymore. You take and scrape out the hole that the gasket came in and try to get it fairly clean. You can do that with a knife or some scraper blade or something like that. The Gorilla Super Glue works very well for this application. All we do is just take and put a little bit of glue on here around the edge. You can see it kind of goes around. Okay, then the wheel gasket is placed in and turned around a little bit so it seals. That's all there is to it. Positioning the lighter wire So you would go ahead and turn on the machine and allow it to load one cigarette. As soon as it loads one cigarette, I'm going to turn it off so we can turn it around manually and get the position correct for the lighter wire. Okay, let's see. As soon as it loads there and the wheel, the thing retracts, turn it off. Okay, you can move the wheel up then to the 12 o'clock position. A good way to do that is to check with the alignment tool. So when this goes in the hole, then the top is in the 12 o'clock position. So you know now that it's in the proper location for adjusting the lighter wire. This can be moved in and out with these screws here in order to line it up, and also moved around somewhat like this. Also, you can move the lighter wire around some to make sure that it's in the optimal position for lighting. So at this point, you don't want it to be so close that it knocks off the edge, but close enough to where it'll light the wire, and just barely touching the cigarette. In order to change the wire, the two little opposing nuts are loosened here on the top and the bottom part. And these can be, and the lighter wire can be taken off. To put the new lighter wire on, okay. When you get the new lighter wire, it'll be formed, and go ahead and stick it on the top one and the bottom, and then tighten up the opposing nuts again. This is much easier to do with the hood removed, and in fact can be detrimental to this post, which is easy to break if you try to do it with the hood on. So be sure these are nice and tight when you put them back together. Now once you get them back together, you can form this lighter wire up and make sure that it's in the proper position for lighting. Okay, to remove the puff pump for cleaning, detach the hoses, the ones that are taken off here, and this is the in right here. Then the pin is removed. This is a polarized pin. Be careful not to be pretty gentle with this, because it's easy to break the wire here. Then it just comes right out with the holder here and can be removed for cleaning. Prior to starting this operation, you want to put on safety glasses so you don't get any methanol in your eyes. With this supplied power supply here, this can be just plugged into any outlet, and provides 12 volts DC. So you go ahead and plug this in, and the puff pump will start up. Okay. So in order to clean the puff pump, the fastest way to do it is to just this is what you would do every day, where you just want to clean the puff pump out and remove the small amount of tar from the valves. So you go ahead and turn it on here, then cover the exhaust. This is the intake, this is the exhaust, and then squirt a little bit of methanol in. A couple times like that will do it. And then go ahead and let it run a little bit, and then until it stops. If you do this in the evening, and then you're finished, then you can let it dry out overnight. When you're finished, just unplug it. Okay. Okay, for if the machine is still plugged up, or the puff pump, you'll have to take off the top. So these 4 screws have to be removed here. in order to get to the valves. There's also kits you can buy either from me or from Brailsford that allow you to replace the valves because after a while they get warped and can be replaced. Okay, these are the valves. There's a little a washer, then the valve, and then another O-ring. So on these are the same for both sides. They're just flipped over for the exit and the entrance. So is the entrance. So you take these off, then you go ahead and squirt methanol on these and go ahead and clean them with some little Q-tip to get the tar off. Then you put them back in the same way. These instructions are also in the puff pump and the spare puff pump kits, and also in the manual. Okay, to put these back together, then the O-ring goes first, then the valve, and after the valve, the little washer goes. When you put the top back on, there's a little alignment nod right here, so align those two up so that they're aligned. And then go ahead and screw the screws back in. Be pretty careful about putting the screws in too tight. You can strip these out because it's just plastic. Okay, once you're finished cleaning it, you need to check and see that it's operating correctly. The way to do that is with the flow meter here. This flow is in 0 to 4 liters a minute. It's set up now for vacuum configuration. So this is in. It says in on the pump here. So this is where you put this. Go ahead and put that on there, and then turn on the power. And it should get a reading here. Okay. So this should be around 2, could be a little over 2, and that seems to be, that gives you about 1 liter a minute through the cigarette itself. So make sure it's leading at least 2. Can you see that there? Okay, and that's how you check the flow rate. If it's not 2 liters a minute, it's usually the problem is the valves are not cleaned or they're wearing out, but it can be adjusted by adjusting this little piston stroke. So the way you would do that is to put this little pin that's provided, and you go one, you loosen it one way and tighten it the other. So you would tighten that and then go ahead and check the flow rate again. So if we change it a little bit, it should be different. Yeah, see, so that's only 1 liter a minute. That's not enough. So you would go ahead and adjust it some more until you get the proper flow rate by adjusting these pins. Prior to removal of the control unit, make sure the power is turned off and the plug is removed. Okay, if the controller needs to be sent back to the factory, or check to make sure the wires are on there correctly, there's 4 screws that need to be taken off. And then the unit can just be taken out and sent back via the mail. There's only 2 plugs on the back of this unit. The large one is fairly easy to take off. You just kind of rock it back and forth. This other one is kind of hard to take off. You got to kind of rock it back and forth and pull it off there. If you get it off a little bit, you can use this large screwdriver to help you get it off easily. Just I gotta go get one. So you can take this off by hand, but it makes it a little bit easier. You can just get one in here and help you along. So be careful not to. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that piece off. Then now you have the module here ready to ship. This is the front. This is the back. This is a little Bluetooth module right there. An easy way to send this unit controller back to the factory is to use one of the priority mailing service flat rate boxes from the postal service. So just take some packing material or whatever you've got, pack it in here, and it just exactly fits. Go ahead and put this in there and you're set to go. Send it back. To install the unit, you just go ahead and reverse the thing. It can only go on one way. You want to have the screws up on the top here. And go ahead and like rock it back and forth in there to where it fits on. And the same with the top one. Push it on. Make sure it seats correctly. Okay, that's all there is to that. And put this 4 screws on and you're ready to go back again. Part of the smoking machine is the doors. So the whole system is under negative pressure. And if there's a leak anywhere, then you'll start getting erroneous answers if there's a leak somewhere. Because you'll get air coming into the chamber and it'll decrease the concentration in the chamber. So you want to make sure that the doors are tight. There's all these latches can be adjusted. In order to get the proper adjustment, you'll push it in and you hear kind of a click. That should be on all these. Alright, the adjustment is done by taking the tension off the screw here, and it can be adjusted in or adjusted back out again. And when you adjustment's done, then this is go ahead and you can actually test it first like this and then tighten up the screw when you're finished in order to set the adjustment. So then go ahead and check it again. Alright, that's good. This is the method for determining the concentration in the chambers. The concentration is measured in milligrams per cubic meter. So in order to get this is a primary method. You would take a filter sample, you weigh the filter first, and then put the filter in the filter holder, collect the sample through the sample port here in the chamber, pull a certain amount of air with this pump for a certain time, and then measure the volume of air that went through the filter. In order to do that, we have the filter holder here. The filter holder can be removed. It unscrews, and then the filter is placed inside the filter holder. So the filter is placed with the rough side up. So this is the rough side, and this is the back side. So it has to be going this way. So it's placed in the filter holder. The filter holder is tightened up, just hand tight, and then when you take a sample, you sample through the sample ports, either with the bottom or the top one. This is the bottom one. Okay, so in order to help get the plug out, sometimes they're pretty hard to get out. This tool is designed to push a ring in the same time you push. These are called push to fit fittings. And when you put it in, you feel a little resistance, and then you push it a little bit further into the system to engage the O-ring. When you do that, there's a little fingers there that hold it in so you can't pull it out. So this ring has to be depressed then to remove the filter. So at the same time you push it, you have to pull it out. So anyway, this tool helps you a little bit with that. Okay, you go ahead and Push this in, same thing, feel a little resistance, then push it the rest of the way. Now you're ready to take a sample. So for a concentration around 100 milligrams per cubic meter, 5 minutes has been found to be a good time to do that. The problem is, as you sample more and more, the filter starts building up. So if you get to the point where the filter is completely clogged, then the chance for error are larger because you have more of a chance for the air to leak past the filter and so give you an erroneous reading. At any rate, so this is set for 5 minutes here, and as the error.
So you can show the timer.
Okay, so this is the timer. The timer can be set different times here. So it's set on minutes. It can be set at different times also, and the switch for it's in the back. Just goes on. When you turn it on, the pump starts. When you turn it off, it stops. Okay, and then it'll stop automatically with the timer. Okay, the air comes in through the back and then comes out through the top. It's a closed diaphragm pump, so whatever comes in and goes out, assuming the pump is tight, will be the volume. The volume is measured with this dry test meter. The dry test meter, or gas meter, measures the volume in cubic meters. This is a European, so there's the comma actually means decimal point. So this reads 0.6262 cubic meters. Okay, and so you would write that number down. Then you get ready to sample. Turn on the pump, and you'll notice that the wheel in the back starts turning here, and the valve is turning. So you're sampling for air. If you want to check and see that the system is tight, one of the methods is to actually put your finger, block off the thing, and you should get it to go to 0. If it doesn't go to 0, then there's a leak in the system someplace. So every once in a while you need to check and make sure that the system's good for that. Okay, then you would sample for 5 minutes. Okay, you allow the timer to run out, and as we then the filter can be removed from the filter holder. And it can be weighed. Okay, so this is a filter that's collected some material. So you would weigh this, and the difference in the weight then is the amount of smoke that you collected. This is the alternate type of TSP unit. This has a digital timer on it. To turn the pump on, first the pump is turned on. When you do that, the digits will come up on the timer here. The timer is set. The first digit is H always. Then you set the time on here. This is set for 5 minutes, and M for minutes. In order to turn this unit on, you just push the red switch here, and the pump will start operating.